And it took Jimmy about 4 times to realize they were on doing a little bit, you know. They ended up cutting it all out, but I must have asked him 20 times, hey, Jimmy, you know, how's this or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny because everything I do, like my kids, not so much now they're older, but when they were little, they'd be like, Dad, you're so smart. You can do this. You can do this. And a lot of it, I'm more of an interested person in things. So I'm always interested in how something works and stuff. But I'm always like, if you just like can get something done, like you can be that person. Like, you know, like I watched somebody change brakes on a car one time and I was like, you know, they took the tire off, they took the stuff off that unbolted, they got the pads off and they put the pads on and they bolted them back together, and now they're a mechanic, you know. And I'm like, I could do that, you know. And I've always done that. My car I have now is my first car I had that's new. At 50 years old, I bought it new. And I think the brakes are starting to go, and it'll be the first car. I may not do my own brakes, but I was just like, it seems so easy. I feel like I have to do it. But that's how I feel about everything I do. You know, it's just like, you know, I watch somebody on YouTube do it. Not that stuff is easy, because believe me, I try it and it's not easy. I learned that lesson over the summer making a big farmhouse table. You know, I learned a very valuable lesson doing that. Not that I'm not a table maker, but it's just copy what you see, and then you can be that person, you know.
I think one of the great things that you put into your YouTube videos is, hey, I made this mistake. This is, you know, you'll be like pro tip number 12, you know.
yeah.
You know, here's where what went wrong and how you fix it, and you know, roll with the punches.
Yeah, like people say, it's important to show mistakes, because there's a lot of people, like, I mean, you know, you have a pretty good following. Like, a lot of people look up to you, you know, and you don't think of that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think they watch people do stuff. And I'll say it, and I'm sure he'll listen to this podcast, but Jimmy will even admit it. Like, you look at Jimmy's videos and you're like, oh my God, that is so cool what he made. Right. And then you go and see it and you're like, that's not really what it looked like on the video, you know, and you're looking through it and stuff. And he's like, yeah, it's just, you know, hey, I did this, but I learned this technique and that's what I was really going for. And you realize, like, everybody doesn't make perfect stuff, you know. And who posted? I think it was like Daniel Dunlap. Just today, I opened up Instagram, and he filled a joint with sawdust and glue, and he said, "Do this technique and be the woodworker you wish you were." You know. But I just thought it was cool that he showed that, because a lot of people would be like, "I'd never show myself doing that,"
right? Even
though they do it all the time. Not that everybody does, but I think it's important to give people confidence to say that, hey, I make mistakes too, you know, like everything doesn't come out right all the time, you know?
Yeah, I think there's this misconception, because it's you see it on the internet or whatever, you see it on Instagram, and you look at the person's work and they've got this amazing portfolio of all these finished products and stuff. If you're at the bottom of the mountain looking up, you know, thinking these people are somebody great, they're not. They're making all the same mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, this is how naive or stupid, whatever you want to call it, I was. I remember being at Jimmy's, this was years ago, and he made a video. I forget what he made, but he used a jump press, I think the jump share, right, to cut a piece of sheet metal, and it was dull. And the whole day he's just bitching about how dull the blade is, right? And he's jumping on it, getting it to cut. So he's editing the video, and I watch it, and I was like, dude, is that the same shit? I said, did you have the blade sharp? And he's like, no. I go, because it's sharp there. He goes, oh no, I edited out all the other ones. And I was like, what? And I was like, I never thought of that. Like, and I never thought, like, you just edit out the mistakes, like, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, like, that's unbelievable. And it's funny, because now obviously I do that, you know, and I do like these little reels, and it's like, you know, sometimes it's like you do like a little cross dissolve, and it's like nothing's lined up right, and it's like, oh, there it is, it is right, you know. And it's just funny, but people don't realize that, you know. It really opened your eyes up, or my eyes up, when we did the TV show, and you realized nothing is way it was. And it's like, wow, like, you can can really do a lot with editing, you know, and it's amazing, you know, but people don't realize that, you know.
Right. When you were on the Full Blast podcast, that was before the show had aired.
Yes.
And you weren't sure how it was going to kind of splice together.
Yeah, I was nervous.
So after you went back and watched it, you were like, wait, did they took out that whole section, or how did this magically get fixed?
It was just amazing, like the stuff they did, you know, and it was just funny because a lot of the stuff, like the different conversations and things like that, they you know, the way they filmed it, it was like day one we would like meet the kids and get the stuff, the supplies. Then it was kind of like filming us announcing like what we were doing to lay the groundwork, and then they would film us and we'd have a mic on. You had a mic on all the time, but they'd be like, okay, we need these lines describing this, but most of the show that you see is just footage of us talking, like real talk. And so that was kind of scary when we realized, like, oh, they're using all the other audio, like, like, you know, how bad did I talk about my kids, you know? Did I rip my boss, you know? So they did a great job with the edit, and I think they were really good. They were like, we're not gonna like do any gotcha stuff or anything like that, you know, and they did a great job. But you wonder, you know, you're like, what did I say, you know? So.
Yeah. One of the funniest moments on the show to me was when you were over there, you were working on something by yourself, and you're like, everybody else is out doing fun stuff, and you were like having to, I don't know, do something. I don't even remember what it was, because you were over there like, hey, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. You know, and he's over there just getting all the glory, all the camera time. And
Well, that whole thing was supposed to be a little bit, you know, we would get on each other's nerves a little bit. It started to get tough. It was real hot out. You know, we were filming not all summer, but it was getting into the summer, and you know, they got windows closed, doors closed, so you know, you're with each other for 12 to 16 hours a day, so people start getting a little bit touchy. And at one point, you know, I wanted to do something one way, Jimmy wanted the other way, and kind of snapped at each other a little bit, and the director picked up on that, and he's like, you know, ask Jimmy, you know, what do you want you to do? So I was like, hey, Jimmy, you know, what can I do now? And he just kind of snapped at me. So he goes, keep asking him, keep going. So I asked him, and it took Jimmy about 4 times to realize they were on doing a little bit, you know. They ended up cutting it all out, but I must have asked him 20 times, hey, Jimmy, you know, how's this or whatever, you know. But it was a lot of fun. It's, you know, those things, I wish I could do it again, but who knows what's ever going to happen with it, you know.